Hello, I'm back, and this time we're going to be talking about guided math. So guided math is a concept that's fairly new in classrooms, and very few teachers have implemented it this far. But after reading Guided Math in Action by Dr. Nikki, I feel so inspired and excited to implement guided math into my future classroom. So I'm going to start by telling you what guided math is. Guided math is small group math instruction with varying levels of difficulty. An ideal small group would contain 3 to 5 students at the same instructional level. You're not going to pair a struggling student with an excelling student in the same group as you would for some other pairings. All group members need to be at the same instructional level. By creating these flexible small groups, it allows students to work in their zone of proximal development. So we're going to be meeting students where their needs are. You're not going to give them information that is way over their head that they can't understand, and you're also not going to give them information that's not going to challenge them and they're going to learn from. But once you have students put into groups, those groups will forever be changing. So 1 week, say your math groups are focusing on adding 3-digit numbers. You may have one student that really excels in adding 3-digit numbers, so they're going to be placed in a group that week that's going to challenge them to further think about that concept. But the next week, say your guided math stations are focusing on fractions, and that student struggles with fractions. So you're not going to place them in an instructional group that is going where the knowledge and content is way over their head. So these groups will forever be changing based on the topics that you are addressing that week in your groups. As teachers, it's really important that we do change these groups because students start to feel labeled as low ability and high ability, and you never want students to feel that stigma in your classroom. So why do we use guided math? It touches all students' individual learning styles and interests. So you're going to have visual learners, you're going to have hands-on learners. And these stations and games and individual instruction ensures that each student is learning at some point in their comfort zone. So it also provides students with immediate feedback. When the group is working one-on-one with you, you have 3 to 5 students rather than 20 to 25 students. So you're able to see where that student is making mistakes and give them immediate feedback, which helps make sure they understand the topic. They're also working collaboratively with their peers. So when they're in groups that's not with the teacher, they're going to be playing games with one another, and this builds skills that they need. They're going to have to work through problems by themselves because when you're teaching the small group, you want all the other groups to be working individually and independently. This also allows teachers to reteach, reinforce, and expand on concepts. So say you just did a whole lesson on fractions, and you're working with a high ability group in fractions. So you're going to expand on this concept. You're going to get those students thinking deeper into the idea of fractions. But then say the next group, you're working with a low ability group on fractions. You're going to reteach and reinforce those. So you're going to meet students where they are, where they need the most help. They're short lessons that keep students engaged and you have their full attention. So these groups aren't going to last very long. So like a 20-minute mini lesson is going to keep them engaged and excited about learning math content rather than a whole group hour instruction. Provide scaffolding for students so you're able to work directly with them. It also gives students independence. They have choice. They feel like they have choice in their group. They have to work through struggles with their peers on their own, so learn how to collaboratively work, and it gives them confidence in their work, so they're never feeling like they're drowning in their work. They always feel like they have control of what they're learning. So what would guided math look like in your classroom? So guided math is fairly new and evolving. So there are many different takes on how you could implement this into your classroom, but this is just one way. So after a whole group instruction, you would then break your students into their 4 groups. So group 1 could be meeting with the teacher to have their mini lesson. Group 2 could be individually working, whether that be on worksheets, using hands-on manipulatives, many different things. Another group 3 could be playing math games against each other. And group 4 could be playing iPads and Osmos. And when you're implementing these into your classroom, it's important that we, as teachers, implement them slowly and one at a time. You don't ever want to overwhelm students. So like the first day, I would implement individual work and show them what that would entail and what was expected of them. The next day, I would introduce to them math games, give them choices of what math games they can play, the rules and expectations, and so on. And so on and so forth with Osmos and iPads. Always let students know what's expected of them, but also not overwhelming them. As teachers, we've had such great success with guided reading, so why not implement this into our classroom with such hard instruction of math? So I hope you learned a few things about guided math and want to implement them into your classroom. Thank you.